Hello everybody, this is Dimple here again welcoming y'all back to my 75th video on Android framework. So many of them had requested to do sessions on Android Media Player. So to begin with, in today's session, I'll be just telling the basics of Android Media Player, what is Android Media Player and the different states of Android Media Player. So let's get started. First, we have to understand what is the role of media player in Android. So the Android multimedia framework includes support for playing variety of common media types so that you can easily integrate audio, video and images into your application. So the role of the media player is that to make it easy for you all to use audio, video or images into your applications. You can play audio or video from media files stored in your app resources. So when you write Android application under the resource folder, you have to create a new folder, raw folder, and inside that raw folder you can put all your videos, audio, etc., which has to be used by your app. So that is one way from which you can use, and the other way is standalone files in the file system, or you can also use from a data stream arriving over a network connection. So you'll use all these methods using media player APIs. So media player means, just remember, it deals with audio, video and images in your Android application. So the following classes are used to play sound and video. We have to know two important classes: media player and audio manager. Media player is the class which is primary API for playing sound and video. Audio manager is the class which manages audio sources and audio output on a device. You can select different input devices, output devices, the way how you control your audio, all that is done by audio manager. Next, we'll understand the state diagram. State diagram is very important because media resources, whichever is acquired, have to be released. Otherwise, they keep on accumulating in the device, which may end up in eating all your device resources, system resources. So initially, to begin with, ideal state is the one. The blue colored oval shaped are the different states a media player can occupy, and the arrow marks specify the direction of these states, transition of these states from one state to another. So initially I'll show you all the state diagram. After this I'll show you all a simple example how to implement the state diagram. So initially we will be in the idle state when we do reset function, right? When we call reset function, all the resources will be nullified and idle state will be called. From idle state, I have to call set data source function, which will lead to initialized state. So what we will do in set data source? In set data source, we will point to the source file from which we are taking the audio or video image. As already told, source file can be inside your Android device, or it can be from a remote URL, or it can be in your application itself inside the raw folder. So once I call set data source function, my media player object goes to initialized state. So if the data source is not available, if file not found exception is received, then error listener will be listening for this error and error state will be triggered. Then from initialized state, I have to call prepared state or preparing state before I start my media player. So prepared state is the one which is synchronous call. That means all the operations will be done on the main thread. If I do not want all the operations to be done on the main thread, I use asynchronous call, which is prepare async function. So preparing, if I use asynchronous call, it will go to the intermediate state called preparing. Once preparing is done, what will happen in this preparing state or prepared state is that Before we actually start the media player, few resources have to be initialized, few preparations have to be done. Okay, all that will happen in the prepare, when I call prepare or prepare asynchronous. So once all these initializations and resources are ready, we will enter the prepared state. When I'm in the prepared state, I will call start function and my object goes to started state. So now what will be happening? You'll be seeing a video or you'll be listening to an audio. From the start state, I can go to three different states. So either I can stop my audio or video which I'm playing. When I stop, I'll call the stop function and it will go to stopped state. I can either uh, pause whatever I'm watching. Pause, how can I pause? Seek to function I can use, or I can use pause function. Seek to means if I'm seeing a video, I can move the cursor back or forward anywhere, right? So that will lead, that is nothing but seek to. Using seek to, we will do that. So when I do that, the the media player object goes to paused state. And one more state I can reach from started is when my playback is completed, when I finish listening to the full audio or when I finish seeing the entire video. On completion, listener event will be triggered and playback completed state will be reached. So if I want to again see that video or listen to that audio again, I have to go from started state. So from playback completed, I can go to stop. Imagine now I'm in stopped state. Okay, I want to start the player again. I cannot directly go to start state when I am in stopped state. So what I have to do, I have to again prepare my media player object. So it has to again go through this loop, prepared, only then it can be started. Directly when I stop, I cannot go to started state. Whereas when I'm paused, I can directly go to my start state again. And once you finish using your media player object, always remember you have to release that object. So when I call the release function, end state will be reached. So this is the state where I cannot navigate anywhere else. Again, I have to start from beginning. So I hope the state diagram is clear. Just remember the important functions. When I reset my media player, idle state will be reached, and first important thing, I have to set the data source. Once I set the data source, I have to call the prepare function or prepare async function. That is left up to you how you are implementing your app. So once I call the prepare function, start function, from start you can navigate to stop, or you can complete the playback, or you can go to pause. This you have to implement based on the requirement of how you want your app to behave. Now I'll be showing y'all a simple code sample. So here I have written a very simple app with three buttons: play, stop and pause. I have stored the song which I want to play inside my SD card in my device. So when I click on the play button, my song will be played. When I click on the pause, my song will be paused. And when I click on stop, my song will be stopped. So I'll show you the code. Before that, I'll show you the permissions which are required. I have included record audio, write external storage, modify audio settings, permission. So I'm creating an instance of media player, and inside my onCreate itself, I'm creating a new media player object. Then I'm using a file descriptor which is pointing to the source. So here inside my device SD card, I have a file named sample.mp3 which I'm trying to retrieve and play it. So here, see everyone, I'm using set data source. So set data source will point to my source file. So my source file is this one, SD card sample3. That file descriptor I have passed here. After I set data source, if you all remember from the state diagram, the next method was prepare. So if you are having a large app and the long running operation, remember always use prepare async, because that will do your operation in a background thread. When it's completed, it will notify in your main thread. So here mine is simple app, so I'm just using prepare. Based on your needs, you can use prepare async. So once I prepare, so I'm setting the data source, I'm preparing inside onCreate itself. Okay, so whenever app is launched, prepare function will be called. Now it is based on user. Now if user click on play button, I'm just calling player dot start. So player is nothing but it's an instance of our media player. So when I call on the start function, it will go to on start method. Okay, and it will print this inside start toast. Okay, then if I want to pause, I'll just call player dot pause. When I call this player dot pause, it will go to its super function on pause and it will print this inside on pause. If I want to stop, I'm calling player dot stop. So after we use the media player, never forget to release. So always call media player dot release function. Okay. So yeah, that's all I wanted to show y'all in today's tutorial. In my upcoming tutorials, I'll give more information about media framework in Android. Thanks everyone for watching. See you all soon in my next tutorial. Until then, everyone take care. Bye.